Broadcasting live from the Reliquary Tower on the plain of Alara. This is Tap Tap Concede. Welcome. I'm Graham, and here with Nelson.
Hi.
And Cameron.
Hello.
And today, we're going to talk about a bunch of different things, but Core Set 2019 Limited is, I think, going to be the main thrust and focus of the day. But before we get into that, we're going to crack a pack. And before we get into that, we're going to remind you that this show is brought to you by CardKingdom.com. Check out CardKingdom.com/LRR for all your cardly needs. You can even sell them cards, which I've done on numerous occasions. Works out nicely. They'll give you money or store credit with like a 30% bonus.
Upcycle your cards.
Yes.
Not just Mengar sponges anymore.
And they will ship singles anywhere in the world or sealed product anywhere in the US. And by the time you're hearing this, they should have buttons again. And we've introduced a new system for the creation of those buttons that is administered by Card Kingdom.
Oh.
So ideally, there should no longer be downtime between buttons. And the current button should be, who dares bargle with Yargle?
Go ahead and stress test the button system by ordering from Card Kingdom all the time.
Yeah.
Do you think if Yargle didn't have the legendary subtype, it would be like, this card is a garbage C- card, and then somebody just came along and they're like, okay, we have this black common.
Yeah.
And we don't know what to do with it. It's a 9/3, it's a demon, right? And somebody just comes along and Sharpies Yargle, comma, then the name.
Yeah.
And then legendary Frog.
Frog Spirit. I mean,
And
probably.
then everyone's like, oh, I love it now.
I mean, yeah, a 9/3 for like a 9/3 vanilla for 5. It would be interesting.
Yeah.
But I don't think it would be. Being legendary was actually supremely relevant in Dominaria Limited, right? So I think that helped a lot. Also, just the name.
Yeah.
And they said they knew what they were doing.
Okay.
They were like,
Okay.
we know that we've given Yargle a name that people will enjoy.
It's true.
What you really want is, if it was, you want it to be like a really, really old card before the sort of New World Order name revision or type revision.
Right.
So it was just like
Summon Yargle.
Summon Bargle.
Summon Bargle.
It wouldn't even be Summon Yargle, it would just be Bargle.
Yeah. It's a creature type
Its
Bargle.
own card type, yeah.
Yeah, it's like in Macbeth, the Yargle Bargle. When the Yargle Bargle's done.
Wow, yeah. All right. Hey, let's crack a pack. No, that was great.
Did you enjoy this conversation? Because you can have it with your friends after you buy that button from Card Kingdom.
Yes, exactly.
Speaking of you, thank you for donating to our Patreon.
Oh, right. Also, the Patreon is the other thing that the show and everything we do is brought to you by you directly, by your support of our Patreon. We really appreciate it.
You're great.
Much appreciated.
Yeah. Let's do this.
All right.
Who wants to roll the thing?
You do.
I do. I never roll the thing.
Yeah. You should.
Happy birthday. And now we know why.
I can't see it from here.
Paul?
6. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hey, speaking of core set, this is the well, not the previous, because then there was Origins. Anyway, it's core set 2015, or sorry, 2015 core set, as opposed to this, which is core set 2019. Yeah, this was given to us by Mike Scott at GP Vegas 2017.
I think what you're going through for there was, speaking of M number expansion symbol sets.
Yes, this is the
This is the most recent one.
Yes,
Yeah.
this was M15, and then they didn't do another M until M19, which is now.
Yeah, Origins really kind
Yeah.
Isn't
Screwed
it just
you
called
there.
Magic 2015?
On the booster pack, it says 2015 core set, so it's referred to as that or Magic 2019 or M19 or yeah.
of... If on the pack it just says 2015 core set, but on the like larger pieces of sealed product it would say like Magic 2015 core set.
Yeah.
Like on the Deck Builder's Toolkit, I think it would say Magic 2015 core set. Now they've moved the words around, so it's... Or they've taken Magic out entirely, I guess.
Branding is more clear now.
I mean, it does still say Magic on the pack, obviously. It still just says what game you're buying, but it used to say it twice.
It's confusing for children, which brings us to our first card, Miner's Bane. Thank you for this pun. Goodbye. Miner's Bane is 4 red for a 6/3 elemental, and for 2 and a red, it gets +1/+0 and trample until end of turn.
Weirdly better than Yargle.
I mean, wow, probably. So you can activate that weird fire breathing ability multiple times. Further instances of trample don't do anything different, but you could give it more power if you wanted. I don't recall ever seeing this card.
Oh yeah, it would flop in the, mostly red decks or all red decks that were trying to round out playables, and basically their drafts went wrong.
Right.
This is fine, obviously.
Yeah.
This is
No,
like a
yeah,
big creature.
it seems fine.
I mean,
It
I
got
guess
play.
the
It got a little bit of
was
play.
able to keep the board clear for the most part, and then just
It depends.
trundle in with this thing.
Yeah, there is some like can't block shenanigans and stuff in this set.
Yeah.
Like is it Hammer Fist? One of the enchantments
Right,
that came
yeah,
in
yeah,
was
yeah,
like
yeah.
you can't block this turn. So oftentimes your opponent did have creatures when you were playing red.
There's an uncommon in M19 that is better. It's just this, but better on almost every axis. It doesn't actually have fire breathing, but it's a 6/3 for 3 red that has trample as a static ability.
Right.
And its activated ability is like creatures can't block or something. It's the
That's
whatever.
the new Cowards and Warriors card.
It's
Is that
something
it?
something giant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that guy. Yeah. That's better than this card too. I agree.
Ephemeral Shields
Convoke.
is next. 1 and a white for an instant with Convoke. Target creature gains indestructible until end of turn. What is Convoke? It says, with some of my favorite reminder text, your creatures can help cast this spell. Each creature you tap while casting the spell pays for 1 generic mana or 1 mana of that creature's color. So you can cast Convoke spells when you are tapped out. You could block, you could be tapped out of land, block with a creature, tap it and another creature, cast. Why did it think my hand was Divine Verdict?
That's incredible.
That was weird.
Yeah, your hand.
Yeah.
The hand of Graham.
Yeah, the catch these hands.
Yeah.
Divine verdict.
Wow.
Wow. Okay.
Don't attack into this beast.
Apparently not.
Wrath of God.
And then your creature get indestructible. It was cool.
I really like Convoke. I thought it was.
I
An
think
awesome
Convoke,
mechanic.
they haven't banned any Convoke cards ever, have they? I don't think.
I don't believe
so. Really, Convoke is like the only free mechanic they've made
That's
that's
never
fair.
gone wrong.
Yeah, because everything, like, Gitaxian Probe's banned and everything now.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, Force of Will is still around, but as a balance. But like that the pitch mechanic isn't really fair either. Affinity's a problem.
Yeah.
It's tricky.
All of the free mechanics,
Yeah.
It's tricky that it doesn't just get rid of the generic mana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what
It's
you
powerful.
That's what you would expect this
Yeah.
to do, is to only work for generic mana, like
Right.
the
It's the other one like that. Yeah.
Eldrazi one. Outburst? No. The
Just like their
like
their,
explode.
their scions and
Well, no, the Eldrazi thing. where
Cost
it's like-
reduction mechanic? Oh,
Yeah.
so the land reduces cost by 2. Ayavugan, is that what we're thinking of?
No, I'm thinking of the Eldrazi, like the one that makes the guys like explode into a different creature by you sack a creature and then that creature
Emerge.
Emerge. That's it.
Emerge.
Not
Oh, those Eldrazi, the Eldrazi's on
Right,
Innistrad.
because you still have to
right,
pay the color. You still have to pay the colored mana cost.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Same deal. Yeah.
Right.
Except you had to sacrifice them instead of just tap them.
Right.
Yeah.
Improvise, which is Convoke, but for artifacts.
Also doesn't let you tap for the colored mana sources, right?
I believe so. Yes. Yeah. It's also It's also not totally busted, but that's because they didn't really push it super hard.
Yeah, they took Convoke and they let you do it for artifacts, which is already a little scary, right? As
Yeah.
opposed to creatures. But yeah, they fixed it by saying the important Court of Calling spell is 3 blue, and you just have to find those manas. So.
The Siegebreaker was what you were talking about.
Thank you. Yes. Siegebreaker Giant. Thank you. Yes.
Great. Yeah, look at that scary man.
Wow.
That's going to kill you this weekend in a draft. Watch out.
Next in our M15 pack, Frostlinks. Great card. 2/2 for 2 and blue. When Frostlinks enters the battlefield, tap target creature an opponent controls, and it does not untap during their next untap step. That cat has just put someone into the ice.
You can practice your limited game by just shuffling up 20 of these and 20 islands and playing across from you. Because that deck's probably better than yours.
Probably.
Yeah.
Here's one you were talking about. Hammerhand.
Yes.
Single red mana for a creature enchantment. When Hammerhand enters the battlefield, target creature can't block this turn. An enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and haste. This is Cartouche of Zeal.
It is.
Yeah, I remember there was
is
some
Cartouche
excitement
Zeal.
among certain Highlander players when Cartouche of Zeal was printed because it was a second hammer hand.
Yeah. No, and this card's fine. We have played Hammerhand a tiny bit in Canadian Highlander, and in the draft format in M15 it was also fine.
Yeah, I
It might have
recall
even
that.
gotten a bit of play in Standard. Maybe. I'm not sure.
I mean, this would have been the era of...
Oh yeah, it is the same. Oh, except interesting. I mean, obviously the cartouche aspect with trials and whatever, but I forgot cartouches can only enchant creatures you control.
That's right.
I don't know why you would want to put a hammer hand on your opponent's creature, but you can.
Well, I don't think there were protection creatures in this set, but if you had a protection from red creature that was your only creature that could attack, and they only have one creature, then you can just hammer hand their own creature and
Make
then
it not block.
Make
and
the
then
enchanted
yeah,
creature
yeah,
can't block it.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
You found it. The edge case.
that's what I'm here for.
Siege Worm, 5 green for a 5/5 worm with Convoke, and it has Trample. Turn 4?
Yeah.
Turn 4 Siege Worm, I think you could do in this format.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. The Convoke is really scary, and, you know, thank goodness it's only a 5/5, because your opponent just going, yep, here's a 5/5 Trampler on turn 4 was pretty frightening. Luckily, the set also had Flesh to Dust. 3 black, destroy target creature, instant, which is a refreshing change of pace. It can't be regenerated.
Yeah, they haven't given us this one again for a while. Maybe since then. This might be the only printing of this card, but
I believe it is, yeah.
it's just, and it still has the regeneration clause, which is also weird, but
It is odd.
Makes the card extra good. But even just 5 mana instant destroy target creature is few and far between these days for
It
limited
was in
sets.
Origins as well.
Oh, it was? Okay. Because we'd been having 5 mana sorcery speed destruction for a little while at that point, and it was
Yeah.
like, oh, well, it's still 5 mana, but it's instant.
Yeah.
That's nice. Yeah.
And then M19 Murder's back. Not that I've ever seen it. Well, not that I've ever seen it in my deck.
I like in Origins, it has slightly different flavor text, also from Liliana Vess.
Another day, another
Nice.
avenging angel, another clump of feathers to toss in the trash. Wow.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome.
Next up is Vinehweft. Single green mana for a creature enchantment. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1.
Yeah.
That's all it does.
Yeah.
But you can pay 4 and a green to return it from your graveyard to your hand. There was an enchantment deck in this limited environment. Green was not really a going concern as part of it, if I recall correctly. But here's Vinehweft, I guess.
It also comes back if you're doing any of the black-green self-mill stuff, so it's like a tiny bit of value you might get
Yeah.
when you put some of your graveyard into your, or some of your library into your graveyard.
There was a pretty cool self-mill deck, yeah.
Yeah, but that
Typhoid
card
Rats.
is just, the payoff is just so small that it
Yeah.
almost never saw play. Finally, yeah.
Typhoid Rats is a 1/1 for a single black with Death Touch. Great blocker. Really good in this format.
Here they are.
Carnivorous Moss Beast is 4 green for a 4/5 plant elemental beast. Why plant elemental beast? Why not just plant beast?
Great question.
And for 5 green, you may put a +1/+1 counter on Carnivorous Moss Beast. So late game, terrible mana sink. But I guess a 4/5 for 6 isn't the worst. Though you can play a Siege Worm, which is also a common, with
Yeah.
Convoke.
One more mana, yeah.
Like
For,
this-
yeah.
This does not seem like compelling in a green deck.
No.
Like for 6 mana in green, I expect quite a lot.
You didn't want to play it.
No.
But yeah, it's obviously if the game totally stalls out, think maybe you're blue-green against a blue-green opponent, and so you stall out the ground and the skies, then eventually this can be useful. I did see one game where it happened, where we were going to maybe mill out, but instead one of us drew Moss Beast and made it a 11-12, and then it could start attacking.
Wow.
Well,
I mean, hey.
yeah,
no, you gotta do what you
milling
gotta
out
do.
does take a lot of time. You do get 10 lands in play,
Yeah.
and then you have like 10 more turns, where nothing happens if you get to a total board stall. It's rare, and you don't want to play this.
Yeah.
By the way, the only plant elemental beast.
I'm not surprised, actually.
Although there are
Changelings.
plant elementals,
Yeah.
which
Wow.
are plant elementals.
That card is one of the worst ones in the game, right? Like, I feel like no, it's not plant elemental. This card's not so bad. It's wood elemental. That's what I was
Plant
thinking.
Elemental, for those keeping score, it's from Portal. It's 1 and a green for a 3/4. And when it comes, when you cast it, when it enters the battlefield from your hand, I don't know if
Yeah.
that's still part of the Oracle text.
Probably.
destroy one of your forests or destroy plant elemental. So it'd be when plant elemental comes into play, if you cast it from your hand, sacrifice a forest or sacrifice plant elemental unless you sacrifice a forest.
Probably.
Is that what the Oracle text would be?
No, it's
It might just
when
be
it enters
ETB.
the battlefield.
Yeah, they don't care about the hand thing.
Oh, they don't. That
Really?
was
So
just
your
a thing.
opponent
So
can
somebody
flicker and
blinks it.
stone ring
Yeah,
you?
somebody blinks it and it
Yeah.
just keeps killing your forests.
Oh wow.
I mean, hilariously though, it's even worse because you have to pay a generic mana on top of the green for only 1 point of toughness. This card's a almost functional reprint of Rogue Elephant from, is it Visions? Maybe it's Mirage, somewhere in there. Old Magic also, but just 1 green mana, 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, sacrifice a forest or sacrifice this elephant.
Oh, that's pretty.
Which is way better, weirdly, even though it's almost the same, right?
Yeah.
Like having just a 3/3 instead of a turn 1 play is great because it's turn 1. But Plant Elemental is like, well, I can block the Rogue Elephant, and you're like, well, okay, but blocking isn't what you want to do when you're sacrificing your forests.
Yeah.
So, anyways.
Next up, perennial core set favorite, Mind Rot, back again in M19. A little bit more synergy in M19, to be honest. But yeah, target player discards 2 cards for 2 and a black.
These are just always good.
Juggernaut, 4 mana for a 5/3 artifact creature, Juggernaut. It attacks each turn if able, and it cannot be blocked by walls. So, Wall of Mist, which would die anyway because it's 5 toughness, cannot block it. Wall.
Juggernaut's been getting several reprints lately.
Yeah.
It's great. Yeah, I think, I don't know, there must be some faction at WotC R&D that knows the fan adoration of Juggernaut.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's gotten through a lot of revisions.
Oh,
course.
of course.
Yeah. Some of the earliest
That would
art
be-
was very, very unusual. Although, in the episode, I can't remember if it was the first or the second episode of the Kaladesh,
I believe it was the second
the
episode.
second episode of the Kaladesh ones with Shivam, he talked about the origins of the Juggernaut,
Yeah.
and it was super interesting. I recommend giving it a listen because I don't want to say it's a real thing because that's not, but there are real world origins of what this is that's super interesting.
Which also is part of the reason why they changed the art, because
Yeah.
the real world, the references that they're making in the art are actually not a great idea.
They're incorrect. They are what white people wrote down after going to India once. They were like, "This is what happened,"
Yeah.
and it's like that's not what you saw.
Right.
So anyway, Roaring Primadox is next. Boy, this was abusable.
Yeah, I remember really liking this card.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, 3 and a green for a 4/4 beast. At the beginning of your upkeep, return a creature you control to its owner's hand. Now, it felt bad when it was your only creature and you just had to keep replaying it every turn to block their lethal 2/2 or something stupid. But apart from that, you could really do some goofy stuff with this.
Oh yeah,
like
the ceiling was
Frostlinks?
very high. Frostlinks is a good one. Was Bond Beetle in this set? I remember that was Primadox and Bond Beetle were a popular combo.
There was also
Really anything, whatever your color pair is, they're going to have the on-color kind of ETB spell-like abilities on
there was
on creatures. right?
something for having a creature with 4 power enter the battlefield.
Oh, or just in your upkeep, or is it Garrick's Pack Leader? Was that also in this set? Is that what you mean?
I'm not sure.
5 mana, 4/4, and whenever a creature with like 3 or 4 power or more enters the battlefield, you draw a card.
I think it might have been
So
that,
maybe
yeah.
even that's like
Yep.
a bonus. He's also in this one, 3
Yep.
or greater. Yeah,
So you were just cycling Primadoxes. Yeah.
sure.
Primadoxin, I think, probably. Warden of the Beyond is our last uncommon. 2 and a white for a 2/2 human wizard with vigilance. Warden of the Beyond gets +2/+2 as long as an opponent owns a card in exile. Which I believe, which could happen, but
it could
I
happen in
think
this limited set, yeah.
wasn't as reliable as you would want to make this card super good.
I think you got better once you had like some. Was Condemn also in this set, or Celestial Purge or something? There was
Yeah.
some other white cards that put things into exile. I can't remember what they were. Oh, there's is this a set? No, there's no slivers. Was this guy also in a set with Constricting Sliver? Because there was one of the sets.
Wasn't there a handful of slivers in this?
Is there a set? Okay, if
There are slivers.
is there the 6 mana 3/3 Sliver that's also an uncommon that just exiles one of your opponent's creatures until it leaves play? Because if you already had one of those, that thing, by the way, is like kind of a Necrotal. It's a little sketchy. It's like a Necrotal Oblivion ring because
Right.
they get the creature back if they kill your sliver. Okay, great. Yeah, I
Constrictor
am
sliver.
remembering this
Right.
correctly. Okay,
Right, because anything you hit with an O-ring or Banisher Priest type
that's
effect,
right. It's their card they own, and it's an exile.
they own it. It's an exile,
Yeah,
right?
but he is without that just a 3-mana 2/2 vigilance, so not super excited. Not a very high pick.
No. We have an island, and our rare is Goblin Kaboomist. Terrific name. It is 1 and a red for a 1/2 Goblin Warrior. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a colorless artifact token named Landmine onto the battlefield. And the token says, for red and sacrifice Landmine, this artifact deals 2 damage to target attacking creature without flying. Then you flip a coin. If you lose the flip, Goblin Kaboomist also deals 2 damage to itself. So every turn that Goblin Kaboomist is alive, you get a landmine. But when you activate the landmine, he's got just as much chance as killing himself.
No, that card you're describing is not great, but still a little better than Kaboomist.
Okay.
It turns out, this is what I thought, that's what I read the first time I read this card too, and I was pretty excited by him because he's obviously super flavorful, and he seemed not all the way terrible, maybe playable at least in draft. But actually, every single upkeep, you flip the coin.
You flip the coin when you get the landmine,
Yes.
not when you activate the landmine.
Yeah, so you can't just sit around and make a bunch of mines and then maybe the Kaboomist blows himself up. He threatens to kill himself every one of your upkeeps. But you keep the mines and they stick around after he's gone. But he's so good at killing himself.
So if you can give him just 1 point of toughness,
sure,
he's
yeah,
great.
there's that for sure. Yeah, you could combo
Yeah.
him to make kind of a weird card that makes landmines. Yeah, absolutely.
This
And
was-
he's very
that was-
cute.
That was why we had to ban landmines. They stuck around long after the people who laid them were gone.
It's true. That's
But
true.
like you just get an anthem effect or something, give
Yeah.
him +1
Yeah,
+1.
right.
Yeah,
and
then he can survive his own.
I don't think there was a good way to do that in this format. But, I mean, you had the turn.
If you were Naya, you maybe are playing Sunblade Paladin and Kaboomist in the same deck.
This was one of the...
Probably not.
This
but
was one of the designer cards.
There is
from
Sunblade Paladin.
M15, designed by Stone Lebrande, and I admit to not knowing who that is.
Me neither, but I'm sure Stone designed a game before this one because they were all game designers in M15, right?
Yeah.
Well, like the
they
two
called
kind
on.
Yeah, the two
various
most
others.
exciting ones were Mikey's card,
Oh, I
Chasm Skulker,
love Mikey's
Right.
card.
Yeah.
and Waste Knot, which was also
That
just
one was
a
designed
really
by.
good
Right.
That was just
Designed
community
by
card.
you, the community.
Yeah, the card, and
Yes.
and with its own test name kept on the card. Did you know Waste? That was it was a contentious issue actually. I followed those articles
Yeah.
on the Mothership, and they were like, we got a lot of people asking us to just keep naming it Waste Knot, which is what we developed the card as, but we're not going to do that, right? So pick one of these other names, and they're like, long metal band sounding names like all Magic cards are, and then the community just kept trying to vote for Waste Knot. Like, just
But
kept,
what about Waste
everyone
Knot?
just kept emailing, just saying like Waste Knot. So then they like put it back on the ballot. They're like, okay, we've got these 4
not
left.
even
It's
that
one of these
bad.
4.
Yeah.
This card's good actually. It
No,
feels
the
a
card
modern
is
strategy.
good,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's not even... The name is not that bad.
Oh no, the name is great. That's why we wanted it to be
waste
called
make
that.
waste face.
Yeah, exactly. We have dodged that bullet.
There's only one blue card, and it's really good. So you're pretty tempted to take Frostlinks here.
Oh, I guess we didn't talk about first pick.
It's also potentially just Primadox because it's the most powerful card.
Yeah.
Or Flesh to Dust. Sorry, I
Yeah,
forgot that
Flesh
we
to
had Flesh to
Dust
Dust. So yeah, Flesh to Dust. Yeah, I missed that.
Fre-
Flesh to Dust is definitely the safest card
Yeah.
to pick. It's just the like generic removal.
Flesh to Dust, Frostlinks, Primadox.
Primadox is the most fun pick.
Like, Juggernaut's
And-
colorless, but...
And
these,
Frost, well, yeah, but it's a little sketchy, right?
Yeah, these cards are more...
You shouldn't have to first pick Juggernaut
No.
if you want to play it.
No.
But yeah, I think Frostlinks is like the safest pick. I mean, there's only one good green card too, actually.
Did you run Juggernaut much in Dominaria?
No, not at all.
No, I didn't
Yeah,
either.
no.
It's historic, so I thought about it a couple times.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, it just trades for Knight of New Benali.
I ran
though,
Traxos.
right?
Yeah.
Traxos is good.
Traxos is very strong.
Oh yeah,
And
Traxos
feels
with,
like it feels
with-
like a Juggernaut.
on
obviously.
Sarah's wings.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I never
Whoa.
pulled that off, although I did put it in the
No,
same deck.
I saw it happen once.
Yeah.
Briefly.
Yeah, the game didn't last.
It was the
too
talk
long.
of the pre-release.
I bet. Have you played much Core Set 19 yet?
I haven't. I watched. Maybe I'm saying this wrong, but Mark Tobias stream Standard yesterday.
Oh yeah.
Because he was streaming a deck that's dear to my heart. I played a year ago. Mono blue Aetherflux Reservoir in Standard.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really?
So I'm a little bit up on his take on that with M19 cards. I haven't gotten to draft myself yet. Haven't gotten a chance to sit down in front of the Magic Onlines. And day of filming is pack day. It's release day for M19.
Oh, of course.
If you're curious. So it's only just out on paper now.
Wow, yeah.
The first draft in town is going to start in an hour or two.
Doing the pre-release another week earlier than we normally do
Yeah,
means it was 2 weeks before normal pre-release and then another week before today. It feels like this set's been out for a month, because for us it kind of has.
Right. I haven't played with the cards yet at all. Well, I've looked at them, so I can conjecture with you, but I don't have any experience.
What was the Aetherflux Reservoir get from M19?
Psy.
Oh, Psy Master
Psy
Thopterist.
Master Thopterist, which also lets you play Mox Amber from Dominaria.
Oh.
Which is kind of sweet for the deck. I mean, you can play Mox Amber anyway. You were playing like a bunch of bone shredder, not bone shredder. Is that what's called? The saw? Bone saw.
Sai, I think, Master Thopterist. 2 and a blue for a 1/4 human artificer. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter with flying, and for 1 and a blue, sacrifice 2 artifacts to draw a card. Now, what is the Aetherflux Reservoir deck?
Well, the Aetherflux Reservoir just plays a bunch of basically colorless or free artifacts.
Yeah.
And Aetherflux Reservoir says whenever you cast a spell, you gain 1 life for every spell you've cast this turn. And then you can pay 50 life to dome your opponent for 50 damage.
Or a creature.
Or a creature.
So
Creature or player.
So that fires up. If you cast 1 spell in a turn, you gain 1 life. Then you cast your second spell and you gain 2 life, and then 3 life. But how? There's only 60 cards in a standard deck, and some of them are land. How is this working?
You also play Paradoxical Outcome.
Yep. So
also
you
from Kaladesh.
return everything to your hand with Paradoxical Outcome, and then you drop all your 0-cost artifacts again. All your Cheerios.
Interesting. I didn't know there was a Cheerios in Standard.
Or Storm. It's also referred to as Storm. Yeah. Because you play a whole bunch of spells in the same turn.
So Paradoxical Outcome, 3 and a blue, instant return any number of target non-land, non-token permanents you control to their owner's hands. Draw a card for each card returned to your hand this way. And then you said Mox Amber.
So Mox Amber
is
a
0 mana
a 0 mana artifact. That's the main thing it has going for it. But since you want to play Psy anyway, Psy is this kind of mid-range artifacts generator / card advantage machine. The deck didn't tend to really play creatures before, although it did sometimes just put a bunch of bone saws onto an ornithopter and then attack. But now that you have Psy, you can just wait to draw into stuff more. You can just play out an ornithopter, play a prophetic prism, make 2 thopters that way, then block a chain whirler and a Hazaret, and then sacrifice both your thopters to draw a card, and then you'll draw another card on your turn, and then you can kind of rinse and repeat until you have the reservoir in play, and you can Paradoxical Outcome. You can also even you can bounce your own thopters to draw 1 card per. You won't get to replay them, obviously, because they're tokens, but they'll still draw you a card with Paradoxical Outcome because Paradoxical Outcome draws a card for every
permanent you return.
Yeah, and you do, according to the rules, you'll return the tokens, and then they cease to exist. So
Right,
as long
when
as...
they hit, the same way they die.
Yeah, exactly.
They hit the graveyard, then evaporate.
Yeah, exactly. So, he does make a bunch of permanents. They're artifacts. They'll tap for Convoke so that you can... Or it's not Convoke, what's it called? Improvise. So you can use your Word of Invention to go get your Aetherflux Reservoir. Wow. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Or they'll maybe tap for Convoke for any of your non-artifact spells if you have the rock in play that does that. I forget what it's called. I'm sorry. It's from Kaladesh, and it just gives everything improvise.
Oh, Statuary?
Yes.
Yeah.
Imposing Statuary?
Inspiring
Statuary.
Yeah. Right. I wanted to say imposing, then I was like, no, it's supposed to be uplifting, not...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scary.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Look at that pretty statue.
Right. Inspiring Statuary, 3-mana artifact. Non-artifact spells you cast have improvise, which we talked about earlier.
Right.
You can tap artifacts to cast them. Wow. Okay.
I guess the Aetherflux Reservoir is that Storm is good even when it's not good Storm.
Yeah, well...
it's sort of a Storm thing, right?
For sure.
Oh, yeah.
Aetherflux Reservoir is a really neat deck, and it also feels pretty fair. It can fall apart to, a Braid, which is commonly played main deck most of the time in, the best 3 decks in the format, I think. So...
Yeah, like
it's
It's not bust. It's definitely not Busted Storm, but it's not terrible. I like this
It's
deck
nice
a lot.
that even
and-
if you're not winning,
yeah.
you still have 50 life, which is tough to deal with.
Yeah.
So did you see?
I've won some long grindy games where like I'm about to die, so I cast like 7 spells and I go back to 40, and then like time passes, then I do that again, then time passes, then I'm like, okay, I think I got enough this time, right? Go ahead.
Oh, just the Vintage Super League was
Oh no, I didn't catch any of that. Sorry.
was last night, and spoilers, I guess.
Spoilers. Spoilers.
LSV won his match with a paradoxical outcome
Right.
deck.
Paradoxical Outcome really good in Vintage.
Yeah, and I saw him streaming a like victory lap stream
Okay.
after the fact, and I never saw him get to complete a game because the opponents just conceded when he got Time Vault Voltaic Key.
yeah.
But I believe the only win condition is the single copy of Monastery Mentor.
Okay.
I think that's how it actually wins, but it's just full of Moxen and card draw and Force of Wills and Paradoxical Outcome, so that you just draw a bit. He had like 28 cards in his hand one turn before he drew the Time Vault, and then I think it was just you play Monastery Mentor, and then every Mox you cast gets you another Monk and another Prowess trigger, and then you just make functionally infinite monks of functionally infinite size and punch your opponent until they stop moving.
Yep.
But there's one Monastery Mentor in the list.
It's interesting that, yeah, he chose to go with a deck that has to untap in order to win, because I thought typically the Paradoxical Outcome decks want to just win with Tendrils of Agony.
Right.
But I don't know, maybe there's a lot of...
Maybe you want to play Fair Magic.
Sure, yeah.
It didn't look very fair.
Yeah, good one.
Yeah.
Fair Magic and Vintage.
Ha.
Attacking with creatures.
Well, Shops was basically a fair deck, but they
Yeah.
finally kind of neutered it. I mean, Lodestone Golem may have been like the most fair card,
Yeah.
but it's the same. I mean, there's no really fair game, right? It's the same thing. Either I'm going to cast all my spells, or I'm going to stop you from casting any spells, I guess.
Well, yeah, it was like the there was one of those image macros where it was like, limited, and it was 2 kids wrestling in the backyard on a trampoline, and then standard was like a karate match, and modern was an MMA match, and legacy was like 2 fencers, and vintage was just a woodcut of a duel with 2 guys like with pistols at
Yeah.
10 paces.
Yeah.
Nice.
And it's like, yeah, I guess whoever, pulls the trigger first wins.
Yeah. Speaking of attacking with creatures, though, to bring it back to Corset 19 Limited, have you had gotten in any reps?
I haven't yet. All I've done is the stuff at the pre-release. I didn't even make it to the pre-release last weekend because I was not feeling great. But I've been trying to watch a bit of it online.
We may have picked a bad topic this week. I've played some.
Talk to us about your experiences. We like you, Graham.
Red Black Sacrifice is neat.
Okay, cool.
There's a lot of enablers for it, and a lot of things that synergize very well.
Okay.
The Brawl Bash Ogre is the premier uncommon for it. It's the
When you attack, you can sacrifice a creature, and it's a red-black signpost uncommon.
signpost is the word I was looking for. Yes, it's the gold card that tells you what this color pair is meant to be doing.
Oh, okay. Oh, they actually, those have a term.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
I heard it
I've-
first
I've-
on Limited Resources.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know where it came from
It's
originally.
possible Marshall
but,
made it up. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I've been saying it, but I don't know who invented the term. Yeah.
But yeah, typically, particularly in core sets, but typically the gold uncommon, the 2-color cards will sort of point you in the direction of what Wizards believes to be the intent of that color pair. So Brawl Bash Ogre, 2 red-black for a 3/3 with Menace, which on its face is already pretty all right. Whenever it attacks, you may sacrifice 1 other creature. You only get to do this once. If you do, Brawl Bash Ogre gets +2/+2 until end of turn, and becomes a 5/5 with Menace, which makes it significantly harder to block. And yeah, so Red Black Sacrifice is the name of the game. The Harpy is, I probably prefer to, like, the Brawl Bash Ogre is very good. I believe it's Ravenous Harpy. It's a 1/2 flyer for 3.
I'm excited already.
And it has an activated ability. sacrifice another creature, put a +1/+1 counter on Ravenous Harpy.
Oh, I like that.
So it's just very straightforward. The Harpy gets bigger. There's ways to cycle and recycle your cards. Goblin Instigator? Is it Warren? Not Warren Instigator. I think it's just
Goblin
I think
Instigator.
it's just Goblin
right.
Instigator.
That's the 2-mana 1/1.
Yeah,
right,
2-mana
makes it
1/1 that
Right.
makes a 1/1, so that's 2 creatures for 1. And if you sacrifice and recycle the non-token one, then you can make another token with it.
Right.
There's Gravedigger and Macabre Waltz are both in the set. It's an uncommon, but Rise from the Grave is very, very good. Rise from the Grave, also because you can take your opponent's things. Rise from the
Take your
Grave
opponent's
is
bomb rare. Right?
Exactly.
If you can kill it. Yeah.
4 and a black for sorcery that you take a creature from any graveyard, put it into play under your control. Also, it then becomes a black zombie as well. I reanimated my opponent's Angel of the Dawn.
Nice.
So that
nice.
that was fun. It was one of those, oh wait, I have lethal moments when you're like, wait, if my entire team gets +1/+1 in vigilance, then crunch.
I would love, I love the Aristocrats strategies.
Yes, me too.
I love when they
Me
come
too.
together in Limited. And that makes me very excited because the green-black signpost uncommon seems like it goes into this deck. It reminds me a bit of Kaladesh, where the blue-red deck was actually the blue-green deck,
Yes,
right? The energy deck.
you
the
could
Thopter
definitely splash one way or another. I think you would still want to be red-black for things like, Goblin Instigator.
yeah, absolutely. But
active treason, the ever popular take your creature, hit you with your creature, sacrifice your creature for some sort of value. But there is a lot of fixing, and splashing for Poison Tip Archer would be really good, because Poison Tip Archer on its own is 2 black, green for a 2/3 with reach and death touch. But notably for, as you said, the Aristocrat strategy, whenever another creature dies, it doesn't even have to be yours, whenever any creature dies, each opponent loses 1 life.
Extra blood artists.
This effect is extraordinarily powerful when you are in a real knife fight on the battlefield. And this format feels like it's like things are trading off quite frequently.
Yeah.
I definitely had matches where I had opponents who were like, I'm at 9. I'm also just dead.
Yeah.
Right? Because it makes all the blocks bad. I love this card. So with the of ready availability of fixing lands in this set, they are available in the basic land slot.
Yes.
Splashing seems really exciting in this. How greedy can you get?
I think you can get pretty greedy. I was splashing. I made a red-black sacrifice deck. It had no life gain. To be clear, it had no life gain. I was still playing Regal Bloodlord, which was a 2/4 flyer for 5. It's the signpost uncommon for black-white, and I'll talk about that deck in a second. But I had a Stone Quarry, which was the red-white land, and a Cinder Barrens, which was the black-red land, just to make it smoother, and the black-white Isolated Chapel. So I was.
It was the rare.
No, that card's from Dominaria.
Yeah, that's the uncommon.
Oh.
Forsaken Sanctuary.
Forsaken Sanctuary.
Okay.
Thank you.
No worries.
Sorry. So, yeah, it was essentially free to run this Regal Bloodlord.
Right, you already had 3.
And I
sources
needed playables. So, it worked out fine, even though I didn't have any life gain synergy. But yeah, you can definitely pick these lands up. I don't know.
Splash.
Yeah, I don't know how monstrously you want to prioritize them. I don't know if you want to be
is this
picking them like gates.
is
Probably
this
not.
Dragon's Maze Limited?
I'm sure. I was going to say later in the format, but I'm sure that some people will have already gotten to that point. But where they're just first pick all the fixing and then just play 5-color whatever. Because there's Manoliths, there's Dragon's Horde, there's certainly stuff. But I don't know how highly you actually pick those.
I'm going to guess that unless you're first picking, or maybe first picking in pack 2, a 3-color mythic rare, you're not going to prioritize them super highly. Keep in mind, in Dragon's Maze, you could actually base your strategy around grabbing gates as often as possible and then grabbing a bunch of gatekeepers in pack 1. And the gatekeepers were all solid.
Yeah.
They all had relevant abilities, and they were just 4-mana 2/4s.
Yeah.
So they were a good size to be like, oh, play a tap land, pay a tap land, get hit, oh, I have a 2/4 now, it's turn 4, right? So you don't get smashed as hard.
I wound up digging up the red gatekeeper for Pauper
Oh, cool.
as,
There you
as
go.
the budget version of Zealous Conscripts.
Neat.
Yep. Yeah. So I mentioned Regal Bloodlord. I wanted to talk about the Black-White Life
Right,
Gain
there
deck.
you go.
This is another deck similar to Aristocrats that I really enjoy. It's just incidental, incremental life gain that slowly drains your opponent.
Oh, I like that.
So you have the Vampire Neonate, which is the 0/3 that for 2 mana and tap it, you drain them for 1. Comboing with the Epicure of Blood, which is a 4/4 for 5, that whenever you gain life, they lose 1 life.
And those are both commons, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Right.
So that particular pair of cards synergizes to you gain 1 life and they lose 2 life.
Right.
When it's all
When they're both happening.
said and done. Regal Bloodlord, at the end of your turn, if you gained any life in the turn, you get a 1/1 flying bat, which is just
So just 1 trigger per turn.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Both of these, the Epicure of Blood and the Regal Bloodlord, only no matter how much life you gain, it only happens once. The Regal Bloodlord only happens once per turn. The Epicure happens for every instance of life gain, but it doesn't matter how much life you gain.
Right.
So
But you could go infinite if you're stacking gain 1 lives over and over somehow.
yeah, but
it's not
for an
that
example,
2 black enchantments combo,
Daybreak
right?
Chaplain,
Okay.
which is a good card for this deck as well. It's a 1/3 with lifelink for 1 and a white. It's just a very solid 2-drop for this deck because it blocks well, it's cheap, but it has lifelink. If you attack with 2 Daybreak Chaplains, you gain 2 life. That's 1 instance of life gain, even though it's only from, from 2 cards,
separate.
because it's lifelink. It's part of damage. It all happens at the same time.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So that would only trigger the Epicure once.
But if you
Okay.
can do that, if you have all 4 of those cards on the battlefield, you can attack on your turn, then you get a bat on your turn, and you get a bat on your opponent's turn when you activate the Vampire Neonate, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so you do get 2 bats per turn
The,
cycle if you can.
the trick with that
Yeah.
is you need to activate the Neonate at the end of their main phase.
Okay.
before
your
the end
your
step.
white and black.
Because the Regal Bloodlord is
right
at the beginning of the end step if you
Right.
gained life. And so if you wait till their end step and then activate Neonate, it's too late for the Regal Bloodlord trigger to happen.
Keep
But
that
I
in
mean,
mind.
Yeah. But I mean, that shouldn't be a big problem
Yeah.
because as long as it disables block, right? The 0/3 on Vampire Neonate excites me a lot.
Yeah.
Like that's a very solid body for that kind of effect.
I'm glad you brought this one up, Paul. The Herald of Faith, very good card. Just generally very good card, but especially for this deck. 3 white for a 4/3 flyer. Whenever it attacks, you gain 2 life. So that's just
It's kind of the second coming of Satyr Angel,
So
this
it's
one, right?
Separate from lifelink though, which is
Yeah.
nice for those triggers.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you had,
That's right.
I guess, notably back to
Well, if you have a bunch of these, they'll all go on the stack differently than lifelink.
Yes.
And so if you have like 2 Herald of Faiths, they'll trigger your, what's his name, Epicure? They'll each trigger your Epicure.
And if you have, going back to my Daybreak Chaplain example, if you're attacking with 2 of them, but one of them has first strike, for whatever
Right,
reason,
yeah.
that's one instance and then another instance. So
I really enjoy the use of core set magic cards to teach rules.
yeah,
Right? Like it was a Harmonic Strionic Resonator
I think so.
a few years ago that
Oh,
was
yeah.
used to
Copy a triggered ability.
Yeah, like this is what a triggered ability is,
Yeah,
right?
Or another good one is, I can't remember what the card name was. I just remember Benjamin Wheeler painted a cat on one of mine. But it's like tap and end of turn, Sundial of the Infinite. There we go.
nice.
Yeah, so that one's just like, what does it mean to end the turn in an out of sequence place, right?
Right.
I want to get back to talking about signpost uncommons.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you think of them as Wizards R&D like planting a flag in the pack for, hey, here's what this archetype is. And
Or, I mean, a signpost, right? It's like
Yeah.
this way to this archetype, right?
right. Like, here's what you should be going after. I thought the term just meant, and I guess it's another meaning or whatever, it's just that, like, this is a 2-color card that's very good, right? Like, it's an uncommon that probably has the strength of a rare or something. And if you see it, it means probably the person, like, if someone passes it to you, it means the person on your right didn't take it. Probably isn't in that color combination. They're always specifically 2-color cards because you might be drafting blue next to someone who's drafting blue, but if they pass you the blue-green signpost, it's like, okay, well, at least you know they're not in blue-green. Unless there's just a more important card for their deck in that pack, but it doesn't come up that often. Usually, if you're in that color pair and you see the gold card of the same color pair, usually you want it. I can think of some examples where it wasn't true, but that kind of was like the goal
Yeah.
of these
Well,
signposts.
what I want to ask about as well is like how does the axiom of never first pick a gold card apply to these, or do you take them if you want to be in that archetype? If this is what you're feeling right now, when do you take the signpost uncommon?
It's definitely too early in this format, having no drafts under my belt for me to answer that, and usually it does take a couple of weeks before you figure out like what the best archetype is. But for example, if you were drafting Oath, Battle for Zendikar, you could conceivably first pick that black and white flying vampire that cared about life gain.
Drawn as Emissary?
Yeah, you could definitely... No, the Emissary was in the third pack now, actually.
Oh.
That one's even better than the one I'm talking about. It's a 4-mana 2/4 again, like this Bloodlord.
Oh, yeah.
But it also says, like, lose life or gain life on it. Like, it was part of the black-white life deck. So you could conceivably first pick that.
I think...
Because that was a very strong archetype.
I think if your rare is something like Mistcaller, which is cool, but like a weird, it's like a merfolk, you'd sack it to make tokens not happen.
Yeah. It's probably a constructed card.
Probably. If your rare is something like Mistcaller and the commons are not exciting, like there's no easy removal spell. There's a lot of good red burn in this set. Shock, Lightning Strike is an uncommon, but Shock is at common, Lightning Strike is at uncommon, Electrify is at common. There's a lot of good red burn, red removal. And there's Lich's Caress is the black 5-mana removal spell, which also gains you 3 life. You could easily just decide, oh, you know what, I'm gonna take this powerful card because why not? And like you mentioned, the fixing is very good. Like Brawl Bash Ogre obviously shines in a deck that can take advantage of the red-black sacrifice synergy, but it's a 3/3 menace for 4, and that's not bad.
Yeah.
So if it doesn't cost you a lot of bad mana to splash it, you could splash for the red or splash for the black. I think people would probably be splashing for red a lot just for the removal. What are the other
signpost uncommons?
I just wanted to get the flying elf.
There's the Enigma Drake.
Okay.
Oh yes.
Right, of course. So one blue red for a star 4 with flying, and the star, its power is equal to the number of instant and sorcery cards in your graveyard. So it's a very sort of straightforward blue-red spells.
Yeah, turns any instant into a combat trick of a sort.
Yep.
Got your
Also just threatens to be a
Draconic
big-
Disciple.
Right, Ramp and Dragons in red-green. One red
card's
green.
really good.
It seems very good. 1 red green for a 2/2 Shaman, tap to add 1 mana of any color, and then for 7 mana and tap, so you can't use its own mana for that, and sacrifice it, you get a 5/5 Flying Dragon.
I was very excited to see that they finally made this cycle from Alara work, because there were the commons in Alara that sacrificed to search for Mythic.
Right.
Oh yeah, that's right. And they sort of fixed that. That does feel like that. They're all 1-mana 1/1s, right? Like Herald of the
Herald of the Sphinx, Herald of the Dragon.
Yeah.
And they sucked.
You had to sacrifice them and 3 other creatures, didn't you?
Something like that.
Something
yes.
ridiculous like that.
Skywriter Patrol is
bad.
2 green blue for a 2/3 flyer, which is already like pretty all right. It's an elf scout. It's riding a manta. It's awesome. At the beginning of your combat on your turn, you may pay blue-green. When you do, put a +1/+1 counter on another target creature you control. That creature gains flying until end of turn. So counters in green-blue. Aerial Engineer is 2 white-blue for a 2/4. If you control an artifact, Aerial Engineer gets +2/+0 and has flying. This is the Artificer deck.
Right.
You have the 1-mana 1/2
Right,
in blue.
that can become a 2/2.
Becomes a 2/2 if you have an artifact. You also have the Gearsmith Guardian, which is a 5-mana 3/5 artifact that becomes a 5/5 if you have a blue creature.
Right.
So there's a lot of synergy between blue-white and artifacts in a way it feels very good once everything gets online.
Okay.
You know, I mean, turning Aerial Engineer into a 4/4 flyer for 4 is pretty great.
Right. So it seems kind of like a tempo deck where it's like you need to take a beat off right at the beginning of the game to set up. But then hopefully once you've got your artifact in play and a few pieces that care about it, suddenly on turn 5 you have like kind of an oppressive force.
Yeah. Satyr Enchanter, 1 green-white for a 2/2 Satyr Druid. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, draw a card. It's the Enchantress deck. There are a number of cards that work with this. There's a Druid that you get a beast, I believe, when you target it with an aura.
Right. Is that one a rare?
I believe it's an uncommon.
Okay, all right. It's it's like a green piker, I'm thinking. Something like that.
There's a
okay.
rare aura that gives the creature +7/+7
Oh yeah, that's
trample.
right. That thing's pretty scary.
There's I want to say an uncommon aura that gives it like plus some ridiculous number of toughness.
Is there any creature that wants to be enchanted? Or
Well, there's the druid.
right. Okay, sorry.
You thinking like the Champion of the Flame that gets a buff when it's enchanted? I don't
Or
think
just
so.
that has hexproof. I'm not sure if they gave us a
Yeah.
hexproof creature. This one
notably,
actually
this
seems
is-
like the weakest one to me. Of
Notably,
the
this
set so
isn't
far.
just auras that you can cast on your creatures. This is like
Right,
passive
right.
some O-ring effects.
Right, okay, that's
that
relevant.
you can also throw into your opponent's
Thanks,
creatures.
you're right. It wasn't uncommon.
Right, Druid
So
of Horns.
4 mana, 2/3. Okay.
Whenever you cast an aura that targets Druid of Horns, you get a 3/3 beast. That's a good point.
It's
Yes.
a big opportunity cost to play this card
Yes.
because it's pretty bad until you put an aura on.
Yeah, it's 4 mana, 2/3.
it doesn't have
is
hexproof.
Not great by itself. Yeah. But you were saying luminous bonds.
But it has
for
great
example.
art. What is that? Is that an oil painting? It's awesome.
Looks like Nils Ham. Yeah, it looks like it's an oil painting.
That's cool.
But yeah, I mean, luminous bonds you just want to run anyway. So if you get to draw a card for
Right.
pacifying your opponent's creature, pretty
Yeah,
alright.
I mean, I think both those creatures though, like the signpost uncommon and that Druid of Horns, which seems to be the one, like the main synergy card. I think you want to know you're picking them up late, and you're picking them up when you're already white X and you have luminous bonds.
So that's right. So that's where the problem comes into play because Satyr Enchantress or Enchanter is not great on its own.
yeah,
Right? Brawl Bash Ogre's fine.
and
on its
Enigma
own.
Drake is pretty good.
Regal Bloodlord, 2/4 flyer for 5. It's a little overcosted, but maybe you randomly gain life once in the deck and you get a bat. Cool, I guess. Satyr Enchanter, not amazing on its own. It really needs the support. The Aerial Engineer, 2/4 for 4, as a gold card is not spectacular, but having an artifact is not much to ask. The green-white deck, you're gonna need the support. You're gonna be in the green-white deck and then pick up a Satyr Enchanter and go, oh, great, bonus.
It's come together.
You
Now
know,
they did.
yeah.
Neat.
They did give us.
You're not taking Satyr Enchanter and then forcing this deck.
They did give us also Blanchwood armor though, right? In this set, isn't there Blanchwood armor?
Correct.
Uncommon that's
Blanchwood
back?
armor and Oakenform.
Right, Oakenform, fixed Molder Van Cloak, right? Just 3 mana for +3/+3.
Yeah.
And you can just win limited games on the back of just those cards. And any chumps.
And
right?
there's another
so
one.
It's
There's
possible.
Talons of Wildwood. Is
Okay.
that the one? It's the one that gives you +1/+1 and trample, and you can you can return it from your graveyard to your hand. Like there's
Oh, it's a fixed Vine Weft.
yeah.
Look, it's Vine Weft
It
that
is-
you actually maybe want to play.
that is a lot better than Vine Weft.
You get trample.
You get
It's
trample
cheaper
and
to
it's
bring
much
it back.
cheaper to bring back. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
That's neat that we opened Vine Weft to the Kraken back.
Yeah.
There you go.
So yeah, there's definitely some green
So
enchantments.
this
that are
card
good.
actually, and the fact that there's a Mesa Enchantress at uncommon, that actually is another reason that makes this exciting, right? Because if you can just like throw Talons of Wildwood on literally anything, like a Night token or something, and then just like jam in there and hopefully force a trade,
Yeah. But it's-
or get damage in, either way.
Yeah, I guess the point I'm making is specifically with the cards we were already looking at. Brawl Bash Ogre, you need creatures.
Right, sorry.
No, it's fine. The Aerial Engineer, you need artifacts, which is a bigger ask in limited than creatures, but it's not that unreasonable, especially with stuff like Manolith flying around. The Enchanter needs enchantments, which is the biggest ask in limited. Right? It's just there's fewer of them, and they're riskier to use.
Yeah, they're just
like the
not
conventional
necessary.
wisdoms that you're inviting to for once.
Exactly.
So-
Exactly.
Yeah.
That said, I super want to make this deck happen.
Just finishing up the signpost, there's also this guy.
Oh my goodness.
This thing's just a beast, right?
Black, blue, yeah.
Psychic
Yeah.
Symbiont is 4 blue, black for a 3/3 flyer. When Psychic Symbiont enters the battlefield, target opponent discards a card and you draw a card. So yeah, it's
This is like the 6th Elder Dragon.
it's hand attack and mill is the sort of blue-black strategies. I want to shout out to Fell Spectre, which we had in our stream draft yesterday. It's a 1/3 flyer for 4. You make them discard a card when it enters the battlefield, and anytime they discard a card, they lose 2 life. So it's only 1/3 flyer for 4, which is not an amazing body. It blocks fairly well, but you immediately take a card out of their hand and they lose 2 life. Mind Rot is a common in the set. If you have a Fell Spectre out and you Mind Rot someone, that's pretty fun.
Right.
I also, speaking of when we were talking about Enigma Drake, Guttersnipe as part of the blue-red spells deck is very strong. I had someone with a Guttersnipe in play, double cast, and then cast shock. So they killed.
So they 8 damaged.
They killed my 4/4.
All right.
With the doubled shock, and they dealt 6 damage to me.
Because it counts as casting.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
because
Wow.
Guttersnipe hit me on the double cast, and then on each instance of the shock, because you cast a copy. So that was fresh.
The copying mechanic in Magic is so funny because it doesn't always let you cast, right? Like there's Isochron Scepter lets you cast a spell every time you activate it, but most other things that copy an Instant or Sorcery just put it on the stack.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And then, was there any other signposts we didn't talk about?
We didn't get through all the color pairs yet.
I think the only one. So there's. This is the
Boros one.
Red-white.
The red-white isn't actually a creature.
It's
Not actually a creature, but it's very good.
It's
Heroic
creatures.
Reinforcements, 2 red-white for a sorcery, create 2 1/1 white soldier tokens. It's not great for 4 mana. But wait. Until end of turn, creatures you control get +1/+1 and haste. So they attack as you get 2 2/2s if you attack with them that turn. It pumps your other creatures. Let me tell you about going 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop. Turn 4 Heroic Reinforcements. Turn 5 Angel of the Dawn.
Oof.
Yeah.
I bet you won that game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or lost,
That's fun.
whichever.
I've literally been on both sides of that exact chain, and both times the player with Heroic Reinforcements into Angel of the Dawn won the game.
It sounds like you're going to do that if you play those 2 cards in a row.
Yeah, and Angel of the Dawn is a common, so pick up Heroic Reinforcements, prioritize this one, and hopefully get some Angels later. Angel of the Dawn is just a 3/3 flyer for 5, but when it enters the battlefield, all your creatures get +1/+1 in Vigilance until end of turn. So that's fun. And then, was there any others?
I think we've hit all 10 now.
I think that's all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, speaking of the multicolors, though, do you like pack one, pick one, snap Elder Dragons when they show up?
I wanted to ask this
even though
question
they're
too.
3 colors.
So I'm glad you asked. I believe you mentioned Manolith. Is Manolith common?
Yes.
So you have Manolith at common, and you have Fate Reforged style dual lands sometimes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right? Or Oath of the Gatewatch dual lands sometimes. So thank you for asking this, Paul. I feel like they're all good enough that you probably want to just grab them. and hope.
Probably. I think the one that you
Definitely
have up
pack
here,
one.
Arcades the Strategist, probably the worst one.
In this limited format, right?
Because there's not a huge density of creatures with Defender, and
Isn't there Amaranthine Wall? Or was that in...
that was in Dominaria.
No.
Honestly, even just a 3/5 Flying Vigilance is kind of a big deal.
I guess, but a 3/5...
Not against the other dragons.
The problem is a 3/5 Flying Vigilance for 1 green, white, blue
Sure, yeah.
is maybe a difficult
too much
ask.
ask
I
to
think
ask
the
them,
other
but that's
4
fair.
are
They all pack a huge punch, right?
very good, and I think Arcades needs a little more support.
Like, a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about how, like, the Victus Asmati might be the weakest one, but, like, it's just a big dork, right? And
Yeah.
that I think it's a better payoff for the mana cost.
Is Vivictus the Jund one?
Yeah.
Yes.
In
Yeah,
M-
she's just like...
I was gonna say in M19, there is 1 defender in each of Arcades' colors.
Okay.
Is there
The
an
Novice Knight-
artifact wall too? Or
The
no?
Novice Knight, the Wall of Mist, and the Wall of Vines. And then there's the Gargoyle Sentinel and the Suspicious Bookcase.
Right.
Are your 2 artifacts. There's also Dragon Egg.
bookcase.
There's also Dragon Egg.
Oh,
but
Dragon
that's
Egg,
in
but
red.
red, yeah.
I don't think that's enough.
The bookcase...
The Novice is not bad. Like, he's a halfway decent card, isn't he?
The Suspicious Bookcase should combo with Bolus, though.
What's
Yeah.
the
His
lore
original
there?
art where he's, like, reading the
reading
book.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. The first art for Nicol Bolas. the
No,
dragon.
I'm
Yeah,
glad you
yeah,
mentioned
just
Novice
chilling in
Knight,
the
actually.
library.
Novice Knight works really well in the Selesnya Aura's deck as well, because it's a 2/3
Right.
defender for 1, but if it is enchanted or equipped, then it can attack as a
Right, so if you
defender.
just have, like, any random sword in your deck that also has Arcades Sabbath, you're, like, very excited to play this.
Yeah.
And this card's just got good stats, too.
I like, unlike sometimes how they do these ones, the Novice Knight does not lose Defender
Oh, I see.
for the purposes of Arcades or whatever. It
I
can
think
attack
that's-
as though it didn't have Defender.
I think that's generally how they template that, actually.
Maybe they might have changed. I know
I
they've.
think
I know
in
they've
Rise
said.
of Eldrazi they did it.
I
that
know
way
they've
or
said
something.
loses
Yeah.
Defender in the past, but maybe they've re-templated that.
Yeah, I guess the danger also with Arcades Sabbath
It was
is that
Rise,
you
maybe
just,
it's
like, pick
original
up
Ravnica.
all these really, really unexciting defenders, and you don't draw your Arcades Sabbath.
Yeah.
Well,
ever,
hopefully your
and-
defenders help you to survive until you would draw your Arcades Sabbath, though, I guess is the goal.
Or Arcades the
Wall,
Strategist.
Wall of Vines is just 1 mana 0/3 reach.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not very exciting. It's the best Wall of Wood ever, and then Wall of Mist is what also just has a lot of toughness.
It's an 05
Yeah.
for 2.
So both the blue and the green one are very not exciting to play. They're all cheap though.
I mean, Wall of Mist, if you have Arcades in play, it's attacking as a 5/5.
Yeah.
But
if you don't see Arcades.
Okay, so Arcades is like maybe
Yeah.
the hardest one to justify picking.
The problem-
except for your collection.
yeah, the problem being, I think you'll be able to get Novice Knights because the only other player who really wants Novice Knight is if someone is in the Selesnya Enchantments deck, which I don't think is going to happen that commonly. Awkward use of wording there because Novice Knight is uncommon, so you're just going to see fewer of them. Most blue players will probably want a Wall of Mist because it's just an 05 for 2. And then so you're sort of fighting people to get the critical mass of defenders. I don't want to keep dunking on Arcades, but I just don't know how great it's going to be in Limited.
I want to go to him and be like, okay, Mr. Master Strategist, how are you making a Wall of Mist attack as a 5/5? Like, just tell me how you're doing this.
No.
It's too complicated. You wouldn't
Yeah.
understand.
He's a magic
your
dragon.
puny human brain, yeah.
It's like, what? How are you attacking people with just mist?
Yeah.
But yeah, the other 4 all seem big enough to have a strong enough payoff that you should probably just grab them. And then pick up as much mana fixing as you
Just
can.
get your fixing and make it happen.
Even pack 2, I would say.
Just
for the
live a
other
little.
4.
Go
Yeah.
for it. Have fun. That's going to do it for this week. When we come back next time, hopefully we'll have a little bit more to talk about with Core Set M19 after we've all had a chance to dive more into it, which I'm very excited to do. But next week's episode, ideally, will be the M19 nicknames. And once again, we are asking for your help to crowdsource some suggestions. We'll get to the Patreon pitch later to crowdsource some suggestions. So if you go to the URL on your screen, which is http://lrr.cc/M19. That's M19, numeral 1, numeral 9. You'll see a Google form where you can enter your suggestions for any specific cards that you choose. And then from that and our own writings, we will collate a definitive list of the best nicknames for cards in Core Set M19, and we will come back and tell you all about those next week. Until then,
I just wanted to also mention that there's a new Magic stream.
oh yes, of course, I should definitely talk about that. We have partnered yet again in a different form with Wizards of the Coast for a new initiative that they're doing to add more programming to the Magic Twitch channel, which we're very excited about. They have for example, they have a show. They've already introduced their weekly MTG show on Thursday afternoons, where they talk about news. It's hosted by Blake Rasmussen. They get people from within the building to talk about upcoming news, to do little interviews on different topics. They're adding a slate of programming. On Monday, they have the R&D play design team with Melissa DeTora and Paul Cheon talking about stuff. They have a Friday morning show hosted by Trick, which is going to be a little goofier, I believe. And then they have a bunch of shows with people playing Magic. And so James and I, and probably some other people, will be doing a weekly show Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m. Pacific, so 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And that is going to be every Wednesday morning going forward, which is why if you watch our Twitch channel, we've moved 9 o'clock to Tuesday mornings to accommodate this. So yeah, 10 to 1 on Wednesday mornings, Magic Arena with myself and James. And this does not replace or preclude LRRMTG, which is still on Thursdays at its regular time of 2 p.m.
That's exciting.
Pacific. Yeah, we're really, really excited about that. I'm excited that we get to do this, but I'm also just excited that Wizards is doing this with the Magic channel. This is something big that Trick is pushing for. He mentioned on Twitter yesterday, he's no longer the head of the community team. because this was sort of, he was dividing his time between the community team and sort of video projects, and now he's all in on the video content aspects of things, which includes our own Friday nights, which includes Spell Slingers, game nights, and stuff like the Twitch channel is streaming the pre-releases. So I'm excited that we finally get to do that, and that they're turning the channel into more of a destination for Magic content. So that's super cool. Also, if you prefer, we're going to host that stream on our channel, so you can hang out in our chat room if you would rather do that. And yeah, thanks for the reminder, Paul. That is going to do it, however, for this week. A reminder that this is brought to you by Card Kingdom. Check out cardkingdom.com/LRR. And as always, this is brought to you by you and your support of our Patreon at patreon.com/LoadingReadyRun. Until next time, I'm Graham, that's Nelson, and that's Cameron.
Goodbye.
Send us silly nicknames.
And we'll talk to you next time.